Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Pranam Prabhu and Mataji.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Mataji. Pranam, Tandar Pranams. So we welcome today's Mataji, Sarvaitita, Her Grace Sarvaitita Madhavi Mataji. We'll be taking today's Srimad Bhagavatam class. So let us all enthusiastically welcome Mataji by chanting Hare Krishna Mahamantra 3 times. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Thank you, Mataji. Over to you, so you can take over. And maybe you can sing. Start with Jai Radha Madhav.
1 second, Prabhuji.
Sudarshan Vasdev Prabhu.
Yes, Prabhu. Please,
You want to say something?
No, Prabhu.
Okay, Prabhu. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, thank you so much for giving me a chance for taking Bhagavatam class for today. So I need mercy of all the assembly devotees and mercy of Srila Prabhupada and Guru Maharaj. And we will start with a short, soft kirtan. Hare Krishna. Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari Jaya Gopi Chanavallabha Jaya Girivaradhari Jaya Girivaradhari Jaya Gopi Chanavallabha Jaya Girivaradhari Jaya Girivaradhari Yashodanandana Vraja Janaranjana Yashodanandana Vraja Janaranjana Yashodanandana Vraja Janaranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Jaya Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Jaya Gurudev Jaya Jaya Gurudev Nitai Gaura Hari Bol Nitai Gaura Hari Bol Nitai Gaura Pramanandi Hari Bol. Hare Krishna. I again welcome all of you for today Saturday's Bhagavatam Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya session. So today we are going to have a discussion on Canto 3, chapter number 30, verse number 24. Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narayatvam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudire. Nashta Prayeshu Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavate Uttamasloke Bhaktir Bhavati Nashtagi. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna Prabhuji, am I audible Prabhuji?
Yes, Mataji. Yes, clear.
Hare Krishna. So today's verse is Canto 3rd, 30th chapter, sloga, verse number, text number 24. So we will recite one. Yojananam sahasrani navatim nava chadavana tribir muhurte dvabhyayam va nita prapnodi yadanaha. Once more. Yojananam sahasrani navadim navachadvana tribhir muhurte dvabhyam va nita prapnodi yatanaha. What do you wish to say, Prabhuji or Mataji?
Hare Krishna, Mataji. Yojananam sahasrani navatim navachadvanaha tribir muhurte dvabhyam va nita prapnoti yatanaha. Hare Krishna.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Yojananam sahasrani navatim navacha advanaha tribir muhurter dvabhyam va nitah prapnoti yatanaha. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, thank you. Hare Krishna, anybody else wish to chat? Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
One second. Yes, Prabhuji, please.
Mataji,
Yes.
just give me 2 minutes. Somebody else can read. Just
Yes, Prabhuji.
cannot.
Hare Krishna. Yojananam sahasrani navatim navachadvanaha tribir muhurte dvabhyam va nita prapnodi yatanaha. Thank you, Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Prabhuji?
Hare Krishna. Audible, Mataji?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Okay. Hare Krishna. Yojananam sahasrani navatim nava chadvana tribhir muhurtai vadhyayam va nita prapnodi yadana
Yatanaha.
yadanaha. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, thank you, Prabhuji. So we will see synonyms word to word meaning. Yojananam of yojanas, sahasrani, thousands, navati, 90, nava, 9, cha, and advanaha, from a distance, tribhi, 3, muhurte, within moments, dvabhyam, 2, va, or nita, brought, prapnodi, he receives, yatanaha, punishments. So translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Thus, he has to pass 99,000 yojanas within 2 or 3 moments, and then he is at once engaged in the torturous punishment which he is destined to suffer. Once again, translation. Thus, he has to pass 99,000 yojanas within 2 or 3 moments, and then he is at once engaged in the torturous punishment which he is destined to suffer. So, purport. 1 yojana is calculated to be 80 miles, and he has to pass along a road which is therefore as much as 792,000 miles. Such a long distance is passed over within a few moments only. The subtle body is covered by the constables so that the living entity can pass such a long distance quickly and at the same time tolerate the suffering. This covering, although material, is of such fine elements that material scientists cannot discover what the coverings are made of. To pass 7,92,000 miles within a few moments seems wonderful to the modern space travelers. They have so far traveled at a speed of 18,000 miles per hour. But here we see that a criminal passes 7,92,000 miles within a few seconds only, although the process is not spiritual but material. तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः श्री चैतन्य मनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपः कदा मह्यं ददाति शपथान्तिकं वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरो सुयूतपथकमलं श्रीगुरुं वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं सागरजातं सहन रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपादान् सहन ललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च हे कृष्णा करुणा सिंधु दीनबंधो जगत्पदे गोपेशा गोपिका कांता राधा कांता नमस्तुते तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्येव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौरभक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे। नमो ओम विष्णुपदाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूत्रे श्रीमते जगताक स्वामी नाम्नि नमाचार्य पदाय निताय कृपा प्रदायिने गौरकथा दामतय नगर ग्रामताय नमो विष्णुपदाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूत्रे श्रीमते भक्तिवेदांत स्वामी नाम्नि नमस्ते सरस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देश। Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare. So today's verse is again third canto, 30th chapter, 24th verse. Once again I will recite. Yojananam sahasrani navatim navachadvanaha tribir muhurte dhabhyam va nita prapnodi yatanaha. So before getting into today's verse, we will just discuss about the past, like previous verses in very briefly. And the chapter's name, the 30th chapter's name is Description by Lord Kabila of Adverse Fruitive Activities. So in the past chapter, this is 29th chapter, to the questions of his Lord Kabila's mother, Dahudi's question, he is answering in a wonderful way about the devotional service, like a devotional service in a mixed devotional service, and that is in the modes of three modes, like mixed devotional service in the mode of ignorance, mode of passion, and mode of goodness. And again, he is explaining well about the pure bhakti. Then after that, he is explaining about Ashtanga Yoga, Jnana Yoga, and all these things. And at the end of the 29th chapter, he is describing about the time factor. So time factor is, there is no end and no beginning for the time factor. So time factor is considered as the representative of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Now, not only human beings, but it says, Bhagavatam says that not only human beings are afraid or they are influenced by the time factor, but demigods also, they are influenced by the time factor. Maybe human beings in material world, our lifespan may be about 100 years of age, but demigods may be having millions and millions of years of lifespan they may be having, but they all are subjected to the influence of the time factor. So even the entire universe is fearful of the time factor. So that's what about the 29th chapter. Then the 30th chapter today, Kabila Deva's description about the adverse effect of fruitive activities. So here in this chapter also, Devudi continues his questions to his son, Lord Kabila Deva, and answer, he is giving answer. So her question was about the birth and death of the conditioned souls in this material world. So to giving answer to his mother's question, he is explaining the adverse or the reaction or result of the activities which is based on these three modes of material nature, like three modes, as we all know that modes of ignorance, passion, and goodness. So as a continuation, he's in this entire chapter, the subject matter is the how these fruitive activities cause adverse effect in a conditioned soul, and how he is doing sinful activities again and again, and how he is going through the miserable condition from the very beginning and at the time of birth and till death, and after the death also, how he is suffering from all miserable condition. That is the subject matter of the entire chapter, 30th chapter, then known as Description by Lord Kabila of Adverse Fruitive Activities. So as a continuation from the 29th chapter, he stopped about telling about the time factor. So eternal time factor, and it is the representative of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So as a continuation, he continued answering to Mother Dahudi's question. He's saying that as a mass of clouds, because this condition is also, they are always engaged in material consciousness. So same like example is giving, as a mass of clouds there, it does not know the powerful effect or influence of the strong wind. And same way, the materialist who is always in material consciousness, that materialist does not know the powerful or strength of the time factor. That is the representative of the time factor, and that is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, how it destroys everything. Same like the wind, because everybody maybe experienced, maybe we have seen dense clouds or deep, very huge clouds, but after strong wind passes and the clouds are dispersed and they are losing their characteristic. So strong wind can take away this dense clouds. Same way, materialist people, they are in material contamination, can be carried away by the effect of the time. So the purport, in the purport, Srila Prabhupada explaining about the importance of time, how we should utilize time. Even if we are utilizing in a spiritual way or in a material way, we should be very vigilant in using time. So in Chanakya Pandita, he says that one moment of time is already gone, cannot be taken back, even if somebody is ready to pay billions and millions of dollars. So that much importance. So we should be very careful. We cannot even calculate how much important. We are utilizing time, and we does not know the value of that time. So a living entity in a particular body has a particular measurement of time. He lives in this material world. So these scriptures, what scriptures says, that within that measurement of time, a living entity should finish Krishna consciousness. So that is the scriptural advice for even all sinful or conditioned souls. So if a person in Krishna consciousness, he is utilizing his time in a very good manner. Otherwise, the people who are not in Krishna consciousness, they are simply, without their knowledge, they are simply wasting their time, and the time factor is carried away everything. Same way, how the clouds are carried away by the strong wind. That was about the first text, explaining about the first text. So the next he is continuing saying that these materialists, that means conditioned soul, they are working so hard and producing so many things, and they are producing so many things with great pain and labor for so-called happiness. They are thinking that this material happiness is eternal, permanent. So for so-called happiness, they are working so hard. But the Supreme Personality of God, in the form of time factor, he destroys everything. And the living entity simply laments on that. So it is explaining that in this purport, explaining that the main job or main function of the time factor in the form of the Supreme Personality of Godhead is to destroy everything. But materialists are they are making so many things, and they are thinking that and advancing in satisfying a human being or a man by making so many things, he can make the man so happy. But he does not know that what all things he is making is all temporary, and it can be taken away by the time factor in the form of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So as we can see in the entire, if we see the history, we can see so many empires. They have constructed so many things and all, and with the due course of time, everything is vanished from the entire world. So They are just like they are preparing so many things and they are just wasting their energy. Why they are wasting their energy? Because they the waste of energy is due to the ignorance of the mass of people, because that mass of people, they does not know that they are eternal and they have an eternal engagement. So a person in Krishna consciousness, he is engaging like materialists, they are engaging in developing the economy of the society or the world. But Krishna conscious people, he can understand that he knows that what all economy of this human being is really, it's a temporary thing only. So, and again he continues on regards to this, that it is misguided materials, because now the materials is misguided, because they are thinking that everything what he makes for satisfying the human being, they don't know everything will be wiped away by the influence of the time. So the materials, now he is in a misguided condition. They are thinking that they does not know the body which we belongs to is also is impermanent, and the attraction towards the land and the home and even his wealth in related to his body is also temporary. He is considering his body as permanent, and because of ignorance, he's considering all the temporary things as permanent things. So the materials people, they are thinking that the people or devotees in Krishna consciousness, they are just wasting their time by chanting Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, but they does not know that they themselves are under the darkest region of ignorance, because they are considering their temporary body as permanent. So this materialist acceptance of like acceptance of his body, his wealth, everything as permanent is just because of illusion. They are under illusion. Because of illusion, Maya, they are considering every temporary things are as permanent. So in some portion of another portion of Srimad Bhagavatam is explaining that the acceptance of one's body as oneself, and the acceptance of others are kinsmen in relationship to this body, and acceptance of one's birth land is worshipable, is just they are declared to be the product of animal civilization. So animals only they are thinking, because one day maybe we are in a particular body, maybe in Indian, and he's thinking that India is a worshipable country. Then again, and another birth he will take a birth in America. Then it is not fixed, it's very temporary things. And sometimes we are in the body of a human being, sometimes we are in the body of a dog or a hog or something like that. Sometimes we are in the body of demigods. So it's everything is temporary, but materials, they are misguided. They does not know these temporary things that they are considering everything as permanent. They are working hard for the economy of the society. So a Krishna conscious people, he's enlightened in Krishna consciousness. He can understand, he can utilize all his wealth and all his body and all his everything he produced for the progress in Krishna consciousness. So if a person, he utilizes everything, we can have a new phase of progressive life, we can see. So now we are going to see the living entity, about the living entity, because we are living entity, in whatever species of life he appears, he feels some sort of satisfaction, and in whichever species he appears, and that is, and after that he is never averse to being situated in any condition. So living entities are in different bodies, but they are feeling so much comfortable, satisfied. So this type of satisfaction in a particular body, if living entity is taking a particular body, and in that living entity is feeling so much of satisfaction, whatever abominable condition he is going through, but still he is feeling satisfaction. It is due to illusion only. So we also can say, example, a man, he's in a higher position, he may feel dissatisfied when compared to the life standard life of a person in a low grade position. So but the same person then the low grade condition, he never feels any dissatisfaction, because he is under illusion. So because of illusion, he is feeling that everything is perfect. So this is the two phases of Maya we can see. The first phase of the activities of Maya in two phases. The first phase is known as Avaranatmika, that means covering. The second is Prakshepatmika, that means pulling down. So person or a materialist or an animal in any condition, he feels too much satisfied because their knowledge is taken by the avaranatmika activities of Maya. Their knowledge is covered. So they does not know that whether they are satisfied or they are distressed, because they don't know the reality. And we can take the example of hog, because hog, as we all know, that he's eating, he's in a healthy, unpleasant condition, but still hog feels that I am in a perfect body, I am in a perfect situation. He never feels that his abominable, he does not know about how abominable that his life is. So because they are in illusion. So next, so then again the conditioned living entity is satisfied in his own species. So again he continues his life, and even though he is in the deluded, he is deluded by the covering of the influence of this illusionary energy, still he feels like he is little inclined to cast off his body. By even if he's put in a hellish condition, then also he will try to enjoy that hellish situation. Here we can see the story of Lord Indra. Lord Indra was once cursed by his not once, many times. Once he cursed to become by Brahaspati, his guru, to become a hog in this material world. So now from the kingdom of demigods, he came to material world, and he became in a particular body of hog, and he was continuously enjoying with his family, his children and his wife and all. And Brahma couldn't tolerate seeing his abominable condition, and he instructed him to come back. This is not your real body. This is not, you are expecting a very nice kingdom, for you should come back to your real kingdom. And then at that time he was in the body of a hog. He refused everything. He was not ready to hear anything, and he was continuously enjoying that. At that time Brahma himself presented in front of Lord Indra, and he showed his real identity. Then only he was able to understand the real thing. So Krishna also says in Bhagavad Gita, Sarva Dharman Pariteja Mamekam Sharanam Vrajaham Tvam Sarva Bhabhebhyo Mosheshami Masada. So you should avoid everything, and I will take care of your sinful activity, Krishna says. But people are thinking that I am in a nice condition, my life is perfect. Why should I to take shelter of the Supreme Personality Godhead? So simply they are entangled in these sinful activities. They does not know that how much abominable situation they are going through. So as a continuation, so this is this like a living entity satisfied in a particular body, that because they are having a deep rooted attachment towards his family members, his wife, his children and his friends and his pet animals and all. Because and after that the association with all these of his friends, family members, then living entity is thinking that my life is perfect. But this perfection is just called as like, because this perfection is this so-called perfection, thinking that I have a nice wife, nice friends, nice, and I have a nice family and wealth and everything. This is so-called, this is like a mental concoction. It's a person in a mental plane. He's in a mental plane. So a materialist, however elevated he is in his material life, he is considered as worthless. Why? Because he is in a mental concoction, and because of that he's again slide down to the lowest species, and he again is in the material existence. So a person in a mental concoction, it's very difficult for them to reach up to the spiritual level. So the conditions all then soul appears completely satisfied with that. So now he is working so hard for maintaining his family and his society. Even though he was going through burning anxieties and all, still he is working hard for the entire family, to maintain his family. So it's in this Kali Yuga, it's very difficult to maintain a family, because we all are having so much of anxieties and full of pain, and we have to take more pain and more this thing. But people are not understanding that this family, because we are this illusionary energy, what we are maintaining, what we are, we are families all created by Maya. The real family we can see in this is because this family what we are seeing in this material world is the perverted reflection of the Krishna Loga. So in Krishna Loga we all are having family, that is all permanent, all friends are there, father, mother, all relationship are there, but all permanent. But what we are seeing in this material world is just is temporary family members. So everything here it is asat. Asat means it's very temporary. So when we are dealing with this asat, that means no, it's a temporary society, temporary friends, a temporary relationship, then we are facing so much of anxieties and all. So they are just to maintain his family, he's just doing so much of unwanted or mischievous activities, and he just wasting his time, and he's not ready to take up the spiritual path. And now he's what he's doing, he's ready to give his senses and his life to woman. Actually, womanly love is considered as just they are agitating a man, and he's enchanted by the beauty of his wife, and his solitary embraces, and his flowery words, and after that the sweet words of his children. So he's unable to, and now he's in the actually he's under Maya, and for a family in this kingdom of illusionary energy is just Maya, and it is the prison for a living entity. So in a prison, what is happening in a prison? Prisoner is shackled by rods, like iron rods and iron bars. Same way, a conditioned soul is shackled by the flowery words of woman's love and her solitary embraces. And later, when they united together, children also takes birth. Because of the sweet words of children, also he's entangled. He's in the he's like shackled by all these things, and he's again in the prison. So he's unable to get out from his family affairs and matters. He's too much again attached to his family. Now actually he's, instead of being a grihastha, he's becoming a griha methi. That means the center of attraction is not serving the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Instead, he is always serving his family. The center of attraction is family. So he's always serving his family. But a grihastha, even though he is in a family, his means of living is to serve the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So in scripture says that not to become a grihamedhi, but to become a grihastha, so that we can take up the step, we can serve the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and we can cut this knot of this illusory family attachment. So now he's again working so much hard. Even in the family, we can see so much of diplomacy and all these things. We can see so politics. If a person who is diplomatic, it's his life is like a failure for him. And not only in the human society, the diplomacy also we can see in the other society, like birds and bees. They are also fulfilling their bodily needs simply by eating, mating, and defending. That also we can see. So this diplomacy and politics for our existence, material existence, the materialist does not know that the time factor will destroy everything. But without knowing, they are again working hard for supporting his family. So after that, for continuous struggle and struggle, he is struggling so much for maintaining his family. Sometimes he faces so much adverse condition in his occupation. Then he is forced to take money from other his friends, and because of too much greedy. And after that, he is thinking that I am some worthless because my I am not successful because I cannot protect my family again. So he's lamenting on that. And by seeing his lamentation and he's unable to protect his family members are also, before they used to, because he was maintaining his family and he was working so hard, he was earning so much of money. And for earning so much of money, he was doing so much of sinful activity, so much of violence and all. And so much of misery he is going through. And Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita that this material world is ashashudam dukhalayam ashashudam. And that means it's very temporary and it's made up full of miseries. And people are working so much of hard to maintain this family, and the miseries are coming in between. And one misery goes, again another misery comes. So sometimes a little amount of time is there in between one misery and another misery, and living entity conditioned soul thinking that I could mitigate all these miseries because he's taking that credit that I mitigated all my miseries, but within no time another miseries comes. So like this, he was unable to maintain his family. Now his family is negligent. He's showing too much of negligence towards this conditioned soul, because now he is unable to do so much of work and to bring so money. So the person who is older and older, unable to work, he's not getting respect in his family. Same way, and a weak and old oxen, the farmer does not have a more important to an old oxen or a weak oxen, because the entire life this bull was supporting his master. He was doing hard work for his master. Now he became old, and now from him the farmer won't get any benefit. So he's neglecting that oxen. He's not treating that oxen in a well manner. Same way, now the same way we can, and in same animal condition, he is suffering in his family. Still he is attached to his family so much, and he is unable to get out of from this material attachment, because he is too much attached to his family members. So it is Bhagavatam and scripture says that at the age of 50 at least, if everything is okay, he's strong enough, his health is very good, then he should quit family affairs, and he should go to jungle, and he should take the process of acquiring knowledge, and he should like vanaprastha, he should start vanaprastha, and later he can go for sannyasa, and he can give knowledge to others. But this attached person, what he's doing is again, because attached, even though family members are not giving proper respect and all, he is again, because the continuous life he was at, his center of attraction was his family, so he is unable to get out from his family. So it is says that before coming the miserable condition, before baffled in the material activities, one should get out from his family affairs, and without the knowledge of their family members, he should die. That is considered as the greatest death of a person. But what this conditioned soul, he is thinking that my family members, my relatives should take a procession after my death. Even he does not know after death where he will go, since he is wishing that his family members too, at least they should cry in front of my body, they should cry. But nowadays we all know that in many places for crying purpose, they are keeping some group of people, they are coming and crying for the departed soul and all. But since he is again, he is wishing this all should be happen, and again now he is in a diseased condition, he is unable to have nice food and all. Even his family members are not eating and not giving proper food which he is wish to eat. And now he's in the bed of deathbed, and he's surrounded by so many family members and all. They are crying for namesake or for formality sake. They are coming in front of him, and they are crying, and they are saying that, oh my dear father, or my dear friend, or my dear husband. So by seeing all this pitiable condition, because he is already going through in a miserable condition, same like what all things miserable condition we are facing at the time of death. As we all know that age related problems also comes, eyes also coming bulged, and he's facing so much of troublesome breath and all these things. And while taking and exhaling and inhaling, he makes some particular sound, the aged people they are making. And in the middle, his family members are crying in front of them, and he is feeling, see, he's dying in a piteous condition. He is dying. So at the time of death, because he was continuously performing sinful activities, so he can see the constables of Yamaraja, that is Yamaduda, they are coming and they are trying to take his subtle body. So because of that, because he can see wrath in their eyes, so he passes stool and urine. Then the constable asks, in this material world also, if a person who does criminal activity, the constables of the state, they are coming and taking that person, particular criminal, to this jail, and they are giving punishment. Same way, this sinful man at the time of death, who is taking care of that sinful man? Not Vishnu Dudas, but Yamadudas are coming and taking the sinful soul. And as we all know that two type of transmigration is happening when a soul leaves the present body, that is if he is doing continuously sinful activities, he is taken, this soul is taken by constables of Yamadutas, and the other person who was doing all spiritual activities, devotional service, they are taken back to Vaikuntha Loka by Vishnu Dudas. So now he is under the clutches of death, and Yamadutas are taking the soul. They are covering the subtle body, and on the way to Yamaloka, he has to suffer a lot of things. Not only in this material world, after quitting this body, he has to suffer. That we should understand that in this material world also, this is Dukhalaya Mashashudam, and if we are not performing devotional service, we have to suffer same like this conditioned soul, and will be taken by Yamadudas, and on the way to Yamaraja's Yamaloka, he has to suffer a lot. Like they are taking by with a rope, they are putting rope on his neck, then dragging, they are taking, and there is no water. He may feel so much feel hunger and thirst. There is no water, and on the way he has to follow the path which is with full of hot sand, and in between there is forest fire and all that hotness also he has to suffer. So in between he is losing his consciousness. He became unconscious. Then again he has to rise because he has to get punishment, and on the way to Yamaloka he is bitten by so many dogs. So when he is getting baited by these dogs, he is getting that memory, what all sinful activities he has done in his life. He is getting that memory. Because of that memory, he is also too much distressed. And now Yamadutas, they are almost he reached without taking water or without having any food. He is reaching Yamaraja's place, and what all we have seen, what all miserable condition he is going through. So in this particular sloka, it's explaining about this in within 2 to 3 minutes of journey, he is asked to cover 7,92,000 miles. So it's very difficult to cross over, but he is forced to cross this, like Yojananam Sahasrani, that Yojana, 99 Yojanas, that is 7,92,000 of miles he has to cover, and what a miserable condition he was going through. So during his sinful life in his material world, he has to suffer a lot, and after quitting his body again he has to suffer a lot. We can see, because he was continuously instead of being a grihastha, he was following Grihamedi situation, so he has to suffer a lot of things. So Kabiladevi is explaining how much painful, miserable condition is all, because not taking the spiritual or devotional service. So we have to also understand that because we should also have the faith on Kabiladeva's words, and we should understand that this material world is full of miseries, and it is everything is temporary. The time factor can take away everything. In the form of like a supreme, his time factor is the representative of the supreme personality of Godhead. It will take away, it will carry away everything without any second, without the knowledge of the living entity. He will take everything away. So we should avoid all sinful activities and all these things. So again, we have seen so much of miserable condition. Then what is the hope of for a sinful person or a conditioned soul? So that is, we should understand. So that it is in Srimad Bhagavatam, first canto. We can first canto, first chapter and 14th sloka we can see, because during there was a conversation between Naimisharyanika sages and the Sudha Goswamis. They are asking what is the hope for a conditioned soul. So many questions they asked to Sudha Goswami, and after first question, the sages themselves they are instructing, and they are giving three important verses for a conditioned soul. So a devotee also should understand that devotee should be pessimistic to this material life. He should understand that this material life is full of miseries, and does not feel that I am suffering in India, I can get more and more good life in other country. No, it should not be like this. He should take in a pessimistic way that life is not beautiful in this material way, and I have to take up the step of devotional service. But because devotees always they are serving the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and and also we know this the Supreme Personality of Godhead is eternal. His servitude is eternal, and to service to Supreme Personality of Godhead is eternal, and his servant is also eternal. What that devotee should understand. So Naimisharanya sages giving 3 verses, important verses for the hope for the conditioned soul, so that we will see. First canto, first chapter, 14th sloka. So explaining that abanna samsridim ghoram yennama vivasogranan tadasadyo vimucheda yad vivedi swayam bhayam. So translation, living beings who are entangled in the complicated meshes of birth and death can be freed immediately by even unconsciously chanting the holy name of Krishna, which is feared by fear personified. So for a conditioned souls, where it's a hope is that because Krishna, Lord is manifested in 3 different ways. So first one is he is in the form of Hare Krishna Mahamantra. If we chant Hare Krishna Mahamantra, even if we have done so many sinful activities in his life, by simply, here it is explaining that unconsciously chanting the holy name of Krishna, one can be immediately freed from all his sinful activities. So we should understand that unconsciously, you can take the example of Ajamala here. So he was unconsciously or unintentionally, he taken Narayana's name because he kept his youngest son as Narayana. So unintentionally, unconsciously, he was taking Narayana's name, and how he got, as we all know that the story of Ajamala, Vishnu actually, Yamadudas came to take his soul, but because of he was unconsciously, even unconsciously, he was chanting, Vishnu Dudas came and protected that soul. So hope is there if we take up the step of chanting process, because Krishna is manifested in his name. This is vibration, this chanting of the holy name, even unconsciously. Then we should understand that how if we perform chanting in very consciously and with the full of dedication, attentively, and with the like without any abarada, if we chant, then what will be the benefit for a conditioned soul? So that is the first verse which is given by the Naimisharanya say for a conditioned soul, like by simply chanting. Here it is explaining that if a personified form of fear also is fearful of when they hear chanting of the holy name. The second verse they are giving that yet pada. In regard to this chanting of the holy name, we can have one story. It's not story, it's happened. Like when Srila Prabhupada, he went to UK. At that time, some temple construction was going on. So for that purpose, he stayed one place for around 2 weeks, and he used to walk in daily walk. He used to walk, and in nearby his accommodation, one gardener was staying, because he was almost the age of Srila Prabhupada, near 70 years. He was an elderly person, and he used to Srila Prabhupada used to see that elderly person, and both of them used to wish each other. So, and once and he was going for a walk in the estate, the elderly man's wife came, and he said to the devotees, the disciples of Srila Prabhupada, that they are so much concerned about the job of that elderly person, because they need that job for maintaining his family. Now they are in a particular situation, and she explained to all the disciples of Srila Prabhupada that they are staying in a wooden house, and at the middle of the night they used to hear a fearful sound from their house, and because of that they used to awake the entire night, and they were unable to sleep. Now he is elderly person. He is getting like feeling sleepy during his working hours, and because of that, there is a chance of losing his job. That was her particular concern. So this matter, these disciples informed to Srila Prabhupada. Then he asked them to do a chanting for 5 hours chanting in that house, and they agreed that they all disciples, they did 5 hours chanting, and they again the same night, this elderly man with his wife, he went to sleep, but there was no noise, nothing was going. Actually, it was a ghost haunted house, but nothing. They didn't feel any disturbance. They slept nicely. So that is the glory of chanting. So it is. We can see that a fearful personified form of fear is also fearful about this his name. That is the importance of chanting Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. And then the second verse is given by the sages of Naimisharanya, that we are going to see 1.1.15, that Etpada Samsraya Suda Munaya Prasmayanaha Sadhya Punandi Ubaspradaha Swardhuni Apo Nusevaya. So the translation goes, O Suda, those great sages who have completely taken shelter of the lotus feet of the Lord can at once sanctify those who come in touch with them, whereas the waters of the Ganges can sanctify only after prolonged use. As we all know that people are going to take a bath in Ganges to remove all their sinful activities, but in this translation it says that to remove all the sinful activities by taking dip or a bath in this Ganges, it will take a lot of time, because it's not by taking once in a bath in Ganges, it won't remove sinful activities. We need a prolonged use of a Ganges. So people are going for the material purpose of removing such sinful activities just by taking bath, like Prayaga and Kumbh Mela also we can see people are going and taking bath in Ganges. But here it is explaining, this Naimisharanya says that we should take the shelter of the devotee who have already taken the shelter of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Then by taking association or shelter of that person who is absorbed in the Supreme Personality of Godhead can once sanctify those who come in touch with them. So for taking bath in Ganges, it will take a lot of time, but at once, if we are associating with the person who is already taken the shelter of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, at once can remove all his sinful activities. So people are going, and we can see so many sages, we can see they are absorbed in the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So simply going and taking bath does not have any value, but instead we should take, because we are getting association in Kumbh Mela and Prayaga, and so many sages are there. So we should take shelter of that devotees, then we can get that benefit. We can remove our sinful activities very easily. So in regard, there is Srila Prabhupada, once he was going with his disciple, one of his disciples, he told, because these all disciples were from Western country. So one of his devotees, he told Srila Prabhupada that Bhaktivinoda Swami Thakur Maharaj is one of the second most favorite author or Acharya, because he is considering him as the second most. That means he was considering Srila Prabhupada as the supermost, the favorable Acharya. So by hearing this verse from, actually he was glorifying his Srila Prabhupada as well as the Bhaktivinoda Swami Maharaj, Bhaktivinoda Thakur Maharaj. So by hearing this, Srila Prabhupada kept quiet, because he was saying that the percentage of love which Bhakti Vinod Thakur Maharaj have towards Supreme Personality of Godhead, I don't have a percentage of that. If I have percentage of that, means it's a very great thing. So we can see how humble he is. He's like how he is considering all the Acharyas. He's glorifying Acharyas. So that should be our mood, because he has taken the shelter of the devotees who already taken the shelter of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So we all are so lucky because we are in association with Srila Prabhupada by his book, by his devotees, by his disciples. We are so lucky. So we should make use of that. Make use of all the facilities which are provided by Srila Prabhupada, like the chanting process we already explained in the last verse, and also here we can take the lotus feet of the people who have already taken the shelter of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And now the third verse which is given by the Naimisharanya sage is that, and also we can see in Bhagavad Gita 4.10, the sloka says that Vidaraga Bhaya Krodha Manmana Mam Ubasadaha Bahavo Jnana Tabasa Puda Madbhava Akadaha. So its translation is goes like this: being freed from attachment, fear, and anger, being fully absorbed in me and taking refuge in me, many persons in the past became purified by knowledge of me, and thus they all attained transcendental love for me. So Bhagavatam and scriptures, they are not, Bhagavatam and scriptures is not saying that we should take the shelter of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Instead, they are instructing us to take the shelter of the devotees of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So here it is explained that if we take the lotus feet of the devotees of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, so we can remove all of our sinful activities at once. So the third verse, which is explained by the Naimisharanya sages, while they are asking questions to Sudha Goswami, 1.1.60. Kova Bhagavatasya Punya Slogedya Karmanaha Shuddhi Kamona Srunyat Yesha Kali Mala Apaham. Kova Bhagavatasya Punya Slogedya Karmanaha Shuddhi Kamona Srunyat Yesha Kali Mala Apaham. So translation goes like this: who is there desiring deliverance from the vices of age quarrel, who is not willing to hear the virtuous glories of the Lord? So the translation, the meaning of the translation is that we are in this quarrelsome period of Kali Yuga, and who wish to become pure is how we can pure in this vices of age of quarrel by simply hearing the pastimes and hearing the activities of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. We can at once get purity. So that is the important thing. So in Bhagavatam, Srila Prabhupada's purport, everything Srila Prabhupada's, because he's so merciful, he gave a wonderful Srimad Bhagavatam for us, including all the pastimes of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, his glorification of Supreme Personality of Godhead, and also he gave us a wonderful Krishna book, including all the we can see all the pastimes in a wonderful way he described. And the Srila Prabhupada used to read and relish the beauty of Krishna's stories by reading Krishna book daily. He used to sit with his devotees at least every day once, and he used to read that Krishna book and relishes the pastimes. So what we should do, we should also follow the path of Srila Prabhupada, and what he's saying that we should read his books and we should understand, and also we should, because he provided everything through Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, because of the mercy of the Srila Prabhupada, we all are very fortunate to chant Hare Krishna Mahamantra, and also we can take the shelter of the devotees, because we can see so many devotees are there, acharyas are there. We can take the shelter of all acharyas, and also by hearing the pastimes and glorifying the Supreme Personality of Godhead, we can remove all our sinful activities. So there is a hope. So if we take up all these 3 steps, there is a hope for the sinful men. He can cross over this material existence and they can reach back to our eternal abode, Krishna Loga, because Krishna Loga, here what we are seeing is the perverted reflection of Krishna Loga. So eternal life is there, and even we take up all these steps, we can avoid all sinful activities and make it's a takeaway point is that we should take up the step of spiritual activities, and we should chant, we should take the shelter of the lotus feet of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and we should glorify and we should read pastimes of the Supreme Personality of Godhead like Bhagavatam and Krishna book and all these scriptures and all the books of Srila Prabhupada. And we should have faith, because this Lord Kapildeva is instructing to Mother Devhuti what all miserable condition a sinful or a materialist is going through from the beginning of his birth and at the end, and after he quit his body, and how much miserable condition he is going through. And we have all seen how much miserable condition he is while traveling to Yamaduda, while traveling with Yamadudas to Yamaloka. This conditioned soul is suffering so much of painful situation. So we should take this step of chanting Hare Krishna Mahamantra in a very attentive way and take the shelter of the devotees of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and we should hear pastimes of the pastimes of Supreme Personality of Godhead, and we should at least read every day Nityam Bhagavata Sevya and read every day Krishna book. Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Mataji. Thank you very much for very wonderfully explaining this verse with lot of references. Very beautifully, slides also very beautifully done. I think Anandeshwar Prabhu did right.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Very beautifully, yes, designed the slides. So thank you very much for your wonderful class. I think you explained all these reference points very nicely.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
So normally Prabhujis are saying about the family life, Maya. So you are very boldly telling also about how this family life is an entanglement. Very nice. So thank you very much, Mataji. So Anattam Gopal Prabhu, Sudarshan Vasudev Prabhu, other devotees, if you have any additional query, comments, or anything to highlight, please proceed, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Nothing to add, Prabhu. Thank you, Madhaji, for the wonderful class. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Mataji, for wonderful class. Antam Prabhu, your health is okay, Prabhu? Your voice?
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Yes, I'm fine, Prabhu. Thank you.
Okay.
Hare Krishna.
Okay. Maybe you're in office. Okay, yeah. Okay. Thank you. Wonderfully explained by Sarvaitita Mataji throughout the day's text, and Mataji meticulously gave the explanation about the background, how the information about that how these fruitive activities, adverse effects of fruitive activities finally lead us to hell and lower births. Nothing else to add, Prabhu. Wonderfully, everything is taken care of.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Other
Thank you,
devotees, please, you have any doubts, anything, please, on this verse? Very
Thank you,
important
Mataji.
verse. Yeah.
Hare Krishna. Audible?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Yeah, no, thank you, Mataji, for explaining the whole chapter. Like we were reading daily. We got all the information within 1 hour. Very well explained, and highlighting the chanting and devotional service from Srimad Bhagavatam and all. Thank you very much, Mataji. Well explained. And
Thank you, Prabhuji.